So, all of us are here because we genuinely want to help people with their acne, all coming from very different perspectives. So, in the world of dermatology, Dr. Omar, are you taught anything about internal triggers, pore cloggers, or nutrition that you maybe wish were included?
That is a great question. So, in dermatology education, dermatology residency, even in med school, we get this thought that acne is caused by four things: hormones, inflammation, bacteria, and clogged pores or hyperkeratinization, what we call it. But it's way more than that. And that is something that we don't really learn much about, is because, as you guys know, there are very few studies that actually want to look into this. It's kind of like how we got partnered together, because I was extremely impressed, because most companies, most pharma companies, most people out there are not looking at these deeper root causes, and for many people you're never going to find the root cause, but everything's interplaying, including pollution, including hormones in our food, including what we're eating, including your gut health. All of these things from the inside out can affect your acne.
That is why you are so brilliant. You have all the classical training, and then you've made it a point to educate yourself and be open to the world that's beyond just what was taught in medical school. There is so much more that this country does not acknowledge, and wisdom from centuries that we completely ignore. And we act like it's brand new, like we just found a discovery when we start realizing that digestion actually matters. So thank you for your brilliance, by the way. And God, I wish that there could be like one afternoon in medical school or dermatology specialties
Residency.
residency, yeah,
Mhm.
where pore clogging ingredients were mentioned.
Yeah.
We get some hate from old school dermatologists who are only the prescription model thinkers, who
Mhm.
completely ignore the possibility that pore clogging ingredients are a factor in acne, and they just keep writing multiple prescriptions and refuse to look outside of their formal training.
Yeah.
And that's why so many people are still suffering. Like, we do get asked all the time, why is adult acne so much more rampant now than ever? It's because we're using more products than ever. And
Mhm.
because the pore clogging ingredient conversation is critical and it's not being had. And every time we add a new product to our routine, that is another chance of breaking out and clogging our pores. And in my experience, over 90% of products have these pore cloggers in them.
Yeah.
So it's constantly assaulting our pores.
I do think it's important to note that dermatology is also it's not just acne. It is well beyond acne. There's
Yeah.
so much to it. And for a dermatologist that wants to do the best and wants to serve the patient in the best possible way,
Mhm.
has to go out and do external education around these subjects to be more specialized in these areas. So, Dr. Omar, in conventional dermatology, do you ever feel criticized if you look at acne from a more holistic angle by your peers, or do you feel like it's accepted?
I don't feel criticized or
Mhm.
ostracized by my peers, but there is a bias, I will tell you, between lots of providers and patients. So, to put it in perspective, we get basic scientific training on acne. And then when we're in the real world, we get 10, 15 minutes per patient. So things have to be efficient. So that's why it's important to work with estheticians that are acne specialists. And that's why it's important to work with assistants within your clinic which I do in my clinic all the time, to clean up their skincare routine and not just throw in spironolactone or Accutane and move on. And so, personally, when a lot of patients come in, they say, let's talk about gut, let's talk about this. I guarantee you a lot of dermatologists, roll their eyes internally. And I think that's where I see a lot of the bias. And that's where I see the walls go up and the
Yes.
conversation not even being
The
had.
walls go up. You're
Yeah.
so right. I literally felt that multiple times
Yeah.
when I would try to have those types of conversations with my dermatologists when I was struggling really bad. I would feel them shut down, and they'd be
Yeah.
like, "Well, there's no study to support that," and then
Yeah.
it was end of conversation.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Like, what do you think, like, the psychological thing that they are going through creates that wall to shut down at the time?
I will tell you why. There are a couple of reasons. One, we're trained to be evidence based,
Mhm.
so evidence and database. So, Danielle, you're right. There are a lot of studies that need to be done that still haven't been done. That's number one.
So many.
And number two, there are a lot of quacks out there.
Yes, I
I've
agree.
seen patients come in with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of labs they did not need to get done. and they come, and so there's a lot of, you know, crap out
Yeah.
there that we need to sift through, and it comes with, and it makes the bias and the walls go up
So
even
it's almost like
higher.
a level of exhaustion of
Exactly,
Yeah.
like seeing
exactly.
so much misinformation that, and you only have those 10 minutes and you're like, I got to
Yeah,
shut this down because I have to get to what I need to get to.
precisely.
And yeah, and
Yeah,
almost just exhausted of dealing with so much of it.
exactly.
So, Danielle, how do you support patients that are working with a dermatologist and maybe on a protocol or have been directed? How do you support the rest of the ways that they need to be supported with their skin and help educate them to really fill all the gaps so both are working together?
Oh, good question. So I love working with clinic clients that are also under the care of someone else, whether it's a derm or a functional medicine, naturopath, whatever. I almost like pass messages between them via the client. And I'm like,
Mhm.
hey, tell them I loved their recommendation for this or whatever. Like I always try to bring people together of different disciplines. But the way that I will support someone is first by asking questions, not making assumptions and getting a lay of the land with what does this client know about their skin? What are they being told by their other providers? And where are the missing pieces? And then I try to fill in the missing pieces. For example, they might have already been coached by a naturopath to do an elimination diet with dairy and eggs. Fantastic. Okay. Gluten is the other trigger that might be the thing for you. So let's do this next if it's not already being
Mhm.
talked about. So for me, it's all about filling in the pieces of the puzzle. And then if they're on with the traditional derm and they're on medication and they feel that that's still the right thing for them to continue, I'm like, absolutely. Medication in conjunction with the ClearStem principles is going to get you what you want faster. Even if you're currently in the middle of an Accutane treatment, you're, 3 months in, you're on the maximum dose, you're in the thick of it, removing pore cloggers will still benefit you and get you clearer faster and reduce the
Mhm.
risk of resurgence. So
Yeah.
I don't view it as a hurdle when someone's also working with the derm. I look at it as like, okay, here, in this house we're building together, here are the bricks that have already been laid. How can we get to where you need to be faster?
I love that. That's so important. And again, it's all about just filling the gaps to make
Hmm.
sure that the patient is cared for, seen, and heard in the absolute best way possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there is a trend, I would say, and I think this is true with all industries. Yeah, every chef thinks that the way they make tomato sauce is the only way to make tomato sauce. Every esthetician thinks that her way of thinking is the only and the best way. And you know, people of different disciplines are going to think that what they do is best. They've seen good results and they're not trained or even aware to look at anything else, right? So
Yeah.
we all have this degree of confirmation bias because we're human beings. But
Yeah.
I have noticed that the people that have contributed the most to the clear stem community have been people that want to bridge the gap. Like,
Hmm.
for example, one of our practitioners in our acne lab panel, she's a nurse NP, and she actually got ostracized at her clinic for looking at vitamins and supplements and their role in hormonal acne. So it was so
Mm.
bad that she was basically getting bullied and she had to leave. So now
Wow.
she works for us and she's very, very
Wow.
happy and she's making a positive change. But the people that want to have connection and share knowledge, those are the people that wind up like rising to the surface and we like keep them in the clear stem ecosystem.
Yeah.
And that's how we've built such an incredible team. It's really fun.
Agreed.
And I've never understood that. I've never understood how I've never been that type of person. You just do it one way and you're like, it's the right way. It's my way or the highway. You're stuck in the same thing. You're never going to learn anything new. You're never going to achieve anything. You're never going to innovate. So I just don't, that was a mini rant. I just don't understand people that are
Yay
like
for
that.
Yeah.
curiosity.
Right?
Curiosity. Yes.
I feel like we forgot fourth grade science class where we all learn to think of different theories, test
Hmm.
them, and
Yeah.
continue to evolve and
Collaborate.
collaborate on them. And I think we just get a little stuck in our ways because life becomes a little more hectic, a little more chaotic, a little more
Yeah.
stressful. There
Yeah.
becomes a lot more responsibility. And so, to simplify our brain, to maybe add a little more calmness of our day, we just start doing the same things over and over and over again.
True.
And one of Danielle's favorite quotes, I know, is the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again. And so it's just really important. Like, that is why we provide a comprehensive checklist for people to go through because there is a bulk of things that trigger people's acne, but there's also nuances in there too. And
Mhm.
we like to mention those without overwhelming people, but the greatest thing you can do for yourself is pay attention how your body reacts to certain things because you can do all the tests in the world, all the food sensitivity tests, but if You eat chocolate or you eat dairy and you break out, doesn't matter what a food sensitivity test says. If you eat
Yeah.
dairy, you break out. Like there's
Yeah.
your answer right there. And so I think sometimes we forget that we are really our best advocates and we know our body the best and we can absorb all this information, but it's up to you to actually put it into place and see how your body reacts to certain things.
And responding with curiosity and a learning mindset. If you have a setback, great, you learned something. You're either winning or you're learning,
Yeah.
right? Even
Yeah,
like all data is useful, even if it's like something that blew up in your face. Like
Mhm.
that's actually a good thing. You know exactly what not to do,
I agree.
right?
So we get this question a lot from people. Some people want to go on prescriptions for their acne and breakouts, and other people they don't tolerate it. The side effects are too much, or they simply just don't want to. So I would love to hear from both of you, starting with you first, Dr. Omar. What do you recommend for people that don't want to take prescriptions or simply don't have access to them, but are still stuck in the endless breakout cycle?
So I truly do acknowledge that, access to dermatologists is tough. There is a shortage of dermatologists, especially in cities and towns where they're not like major cities, major urban areas. So I always say if they still want to seek a provider support, see a provider like an esthetician that specializes in acne, or you can even start with a primary care physician. Because out of medical school, you should have at least some basics on how to treat the skin. The skin is the largest organ of the body. You should know that as a physician. However, if they don't even want to go see a provider, stick with tried and true ingredients. Of course, cut out pore cloggers
Mhm.
100%. Number two, start with tried and true ingredients like retinols, bakuchiol, mandelic acid, glycolic acid, salicylic acid, but don't overdo it.
Mhm.
And turn to reputable sources of information, like ClearStem, of course, and others out there that actually provide evidence-based information for you to try. And whatever skincare routine that you end up trying, give it at least 2 to 3 months. One of the biggest things I see are people that they try something for 2 weeks. We live in the digital age where we want everything immediately. We want results yesterday. So I say stick with your routine for at least 2 to 3 months. Keep it simple and keep it effective.
I think having realistic expectations for clearing skin is so important and knowing that it is a commitment and that fast results may not be the best depending on
Yep.
on what they are, but all about developing a habit and a routine for the healthiest and clearest skin. Danielle, when you have clinic patients come to you that don't want to do prescriptions or just aren't a good fit for them, what is the journey that you take them through?
People generally arrive to me after they've already done all the prescriptions and they didn't work for them, or they don't want to do that path altogether. First things first, we go through their diet. What are they eating? When are they eating it? What vitamins are they taking that could possibly affect their testosterone? And then going through all their products, ingredient deck by ingredient deck to eliminate the pore cloggers. And then we dial in their exfoliation. So the one of the root causes of acne is hyperkeratosis, as you mentioned. So acne prone skin needs a little bit more exfoliation and more consistent exfoliation than the folks who just don't break out. So somebody could be doing everything right, but not have the exfoliation piece dialed in. And that's why they just have little bumps everywhere and just like texture that won't go away. So, in order of priority, it's diet, vitamins, pore cloggers, and then a proper skincare routine that has the right type of exfoliation.
This is what truly changed my life by seeing you at San Diego Acne Clinic. All things I had never learned in all of my nutrition training and more of a internal health background, all these nuances of acne. And when we first started ClearStem, I was telling Danielle, I'm like, we have to have this information readily available for people. So I think my favorite part about what we've done is we've built an amazing skin quiz on our website. When after you go through the skin quiz, a lot of this information is available to you in a bit of like a checklist format. So you can actually go through what are those supplements that may be triggering acne? What are those foods? What are those triggers? And then also the blog that we have continued to build out over the last 7 years is a wealth of information. So if someone does not have access to going to an amazing dermatologist that's going to really support acne or San Diego Acne Clinic, you know that you can come to our website, clearstem.com, and have a really safe space and really get to understand those root causes without it feeling too overwhelming.